श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम्। वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषयपूरोगिणां हृदये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नमो धर्माय महदे नमः कृष्णाय वेदसे ब्राह्मणेभ्यो नमस्कृत्य धर्मान् वक्ष्यामि शाश्वताम्। ॐ नमो भगवते तस्मै व्यासाय मृतदेशदेशस्य प्रसादात् वक्ष्यामि नारायणकथामिवां श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्. So we were looking at in the previous session, we were looking at Arjuna at the end of 15th day battle after Drona's death and Ashwatthama defeated, or Ashwatthama could not overpower Krishna and Arjuna, and the battle stops. At the end of the day, Arjuna returns and Vyasa comes there, and Arjuna asks Vyasa about a person walking in front of him in the battlefield holding his shula. But he was not touching the ground, and that individual was not using any releasing or striking with that shula, but on the other hand, he was from that shula. There were a lot of many shulas coming out of that shula, and it was destroying all the enemy. And Arjuna was simply following him, and people thought that Arjuna was killing, but instead, actually, it was that person. And Arjuna asked who that person is, who was going ahead of me in that battlefield. Tell me who that is. And when Arjuna asked like that, Vyasa says Prajapatinam Pradhamam Tejasam Purusham Vibhum Bhuram Bhur Devam Sarvalokamaheeshwaram Prabhum Ishanam Varadam Partha Drishtavan Asi Shankaram. He says that you have seen, O Arjuna, O Partha, you have seen Shankara, the first of the cause, the Prajapatinam Pradhamam Tejasam. So he is the first of the cause from which has sprung all the Prajapatis, and that person being endued with great energy, Taijasam Purusham, he is of the great energy, and that he is the embodiment of the heaven, earth and sky. He is Vibhum Bhuvanam Bhur Bhuvam Devam. He is Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. He is the divine Deva, Ishvara of all the worlds, and he is the protector of the universe. Prabhum Ishanam Varadam. So, and then he is the great master. Ishana is Isha, and he is the giver of the boon. Varadam, he is the one who gives the boons, and he is called Ishana. That's why he is also called Ishana. So that Shankara, Drishtavanasi Shankaram, Partha Drishtavanasi Shankaram. So Partha, you have seen that Shankara going in front of him. Shiva himself was going in front of him and destroying your enemies. You are simply following him, and people thought you are killing. So that's the one you saw. And then Vyasa then says that Tam Gaccha Sharanam Devam Sarvadim Bhuvaneshwaram Mahadevam Mahatmanam Ishanam Jatilam Shivam. He says that seek protection of that boon giving Deva, Mahadeva, the Bhagavan of the entire universe. He is called Mahadeva, the supreme deity. He is the Paramatma, Mahatman. He is the Mahatman, and he is the only Bhagavan. Ishanam Jatilam Shivam and Mahadevam. He is the only Bhagavan. He is the only Devata and he is the one with matted locks on his head. He is the adobe of auspiciousness. So he is Shivam, and that's why he is known as Shivam. And Traksham Mahabhujam Rudram Shikiram Chira Vasasam Dataram Cheva Bhaktanam Prasada Vihitan Varan Tasyate Parshada Divya Rupai Nana Vide Vibho Vamana Jatila Munda Rasvagriva Mahodaraha Mahakaya Mahotsaha Mahakarana Statapare Ananair Vikratei Padhei Partha Veshaischa Vaikrataihi. So he says that Mahaprabhu, that he is Traksham, he is of three-eyed, and he is Mahabhuja, he is of mighty arms, and he is called Rudra. and his locks are tied in the shape of a crown. So Shikinam Chira Vasavam, and his body is attired in skin. So he's of that. He's having the skins attired. Gajacharmambara he is, and he is that boon giving Dataram Chaiva Bhaktanam. So he is the boon giving Bhagavan of this universe. He is the supreme Deva. So he is, and he is called Hara, and he is called Sthanu. So he is the foremost of the being of this universe, and he is incapable of being vanquished in the battle, and he is the delighter of the universe, and he is the supreme ruler. So, and he is the first of the cause, he is the light, refuge of this universe, and he is ever victorious. So, Partha, you have seen that Rudra, you have seen that Hara, you have seen that Mahakaya, Sthanu, that's the one going in front of you. And then he is the Atma, the creator of this universe, and having this universe in his form, he is possessed of the great fame. That Bhagavan of this universe, he is, and its great ruler, that puissant one, is the master of all the actions, and that's why he is called Shambhu. He is also known as, he is the self-born one, and there is nobody who created him, and he is the lord of all the creatures, and the origin of the past, future, and the present. He is everything. He is the yoga, and he is the Bhagavan or the Ishvara of the yogas, and that's why he is called Sharva. And he is also the Lord of all the worlds. He is superior to everything. He is the foremost of this everything in this universe, and he is the highest of all, and that's why he is called Parameshtin. He is known as Parameshtin because he is the foremost of everything in this universe, in this creation, and he is the highest of everybody, and that's why he's known as Parameshtin. And the he is the ordainer of the three worlds, and he is the sole refuge of the three worlds. He is incapable of being vanquished. He is the protector of this universe. He is the adobe of necessity of birth, decay, death, and all the other stages that one goes through. He is the Atma of the knowledge, and he is incapable of being compassed by knowledge. So he is again, you cannot say that I understood him. He is like that. He is the highest of all the knowledges. He is that what's said in the Vedanta, and he is unknowable. So he is only, you cannot know him, you can only experience that knowledge. And through the grace, he gives unto his worshippers the boons they desire. So his worshippers get boons from him, whatever they desire. That Bhagavan, that Ishvara has for his companions, the devatas, the being of their diverse forms, some whom are very dwarf, some are having matted locks, some of bald, they do not have any hair, they are bald head, and some are with short necks, some are with large stomachs, some are of huge bodies, some are possessed of great strength, some are of long ears. All of them, O Partha, they have deformed faces, mouths, legs, and strange attires. Idrishaisa Mahadeva Pujyamano Maheshwara Sa Shivastas Tata Tejusi Prasadat Yati Te Grataha Tasmin Ghore Tada Partha Sangrame Loma Harshane. So Vyasa says that Mahadeva, that supreme deity, that supreme Deva, that Parameshwar Mahadeva, who is no, that's why he's called Mahadeva. He is worshipped by his followers, even like that. And even that Shiva, endued with such great energy, proceeds through kindness in advance of you. And why Shiva proceeds in front of Arjuna? Because he gave him Pashupatastra. So we looked at that in the Vanaparva, right? So Arjuna did that penance, and Shiva tested him, and through that they killed the Rakshasa known as Mukha. And then Arjuna went to Swarga after pleasing Shiva. He went there, and Arjuna got Pashupada. And also in Drona Parva as well, we looked at Krishna took him to Kailasa once again just before that Jayadratha, after Abhimanyu's death. On the night, Arjuna dreamt, and in that dream, Krishna took him to Kailasa, and where Shiva once again reminded him of that Pashupada mantra, right? So he is Arjuna is Shiva devotee, and that's why Bhagavan is in front of him and destroying all his enemies. And Vyasa says that Drona Karna Kripair Guptam Maheshwasai Praharibhi Kastam Senam Tada Partha Manasapi Pradarshayet Rute Devan Maheshwasad Bahurupan Maheshwarat Statum Utsahete Ishachin Tasmin Nad Tasmin Agratastite Nahi Bhutam Samam Tena Trishu Lokeshu Vidyate Gandhe Napihi Sangrame Tasya Kruddasya Shatravah विसंज्ञा हतभूयिष्ठ वेपन्ति च पतन्ति च तस्मै नमस्तु कुर्वन्तो देवास्तिष्ठन्ति वै दिवि. So he says that in that fierce battle, O Partha, making very hair stand to the end, who else, O Arjuna, that divine Maheshwara, that foremost of the woman, that deity of divine form, could even in imagination venture to against defeat that force which has been protected by the great warriors, bowmen like Ashwatthama, Karna, and Krupa. Who else can go? Drona, and like that, who can go against them? It's only Shiva can go against them. So that's why Shiva is in front of you. And none can venture to stay before those warriors like Ashwatthama, Karna, Krupa, and Drona, and others. But only Maheshwara can walking before you can go like that against them. So he says that Vyasa says that ye chanye manava loke ye cha swargajito naraha ye bhakta varadam devam shivam rudram umapatim ihaloke sukam prapya te yanti param gatim. He says that there is no being that in these three worlds that is equal to him, that Maheshwara. And the very scent of the enraged Maheshwara, Mahadeva, the enemies in the battle, they tremble and become senseless and fall in large numbers. And for this, the Devatas in the heaven adore him and they bow to him. And he says that those men in this world and the other men of those other men of pious conduct, that those that are devotedly worship this boon-giving divine, this auspicious Rudra, they obtain happiness here and attain the highest state hereafter. So, ihaloke sukam prapya te yanti paramam gatim. So, ye bhakta varadam devam shivam rudram umapatim. So, those whoever worship this Shiva, this Rudra, this Umapati, they worship this Rudra, they attain ihaloke sukam prapti. So in this world they attain the sukha and they attain paramaham gatim. So they attain the highest state afterwards. So that Kailasa they attain that mukti, moksha. And that's why he says that Vyasa says, Namaskurushva kaunteya tasmai shantaya vaisada rudra shiti kantaya kanishtaya suvarchase kabardine karalaya haryashne varadaya cha हर्यक्ष्णे वरदाय च याम्याय अव्यक्तकेशाय सदृते शंकराय च. So that's why he says, O Kunti's son, O Kaunteya, bow down to him that is peace, and unto him who is Rudra of blue and who is of Shitikantai, who is of blue throat and exceedingly subtle, and that is Kanishtai and Suvarchasa and of great effulgence. And bow down to him who is known as Kapardini, okay, who is known as Kapardi, and Karala, who is known as whom of terrible, and who is of Haryakshne, who is of tawny eyes, and then that boon-giving one. So Varadaya, so he is known as Shiva is known as Varada, so it's because he gives the boons, and to him who is the great ordainer, so he is the Yamya, he is the Yama himself, and that red locks and righteous conduct to him who is always does the auspicious actions. So that Shankara worship him like that. So Vyasa says, Namaskurushva Kaunteya. So you worship him, you bow down to him, who is Shanta, who is the peace, and like this Rudra, Kapardi, Karala, Haryakshna, Varada, Yamya, Avyakta, Kesha, Sadrich, and Shankara, like this many names he says. So that Mahadeva worship him. And then he says, Kamyaya Harinetraya Stanave Purushaya cha Harikeshaya Mundaya Krishayottaranaaya cha. So bow down to him who is an object of desire, Kamyaya. So any desires one have, one should worship Shiva. And Harinetraya. So he is having this tawny eyes, and then him that is called known as Stanu. Stanave Purushaya, and he is the Purusha, and unto him who is of that tawny color hair, and then him who is of bald, and who is him that is exceedingly subtle, who is bold and who is exceedingly subtle and great effulgence bowed unto him. And he says that Bhaskaraya Sutirthaya Devi Devaya Ramhase Bahurupaya Sharvaya Priyaya Priyavase. So unto him, down unto him that is giver of the light, Bhaskara, and to him who is the embodiment of all the sacred Tirthas. So he is the Tirthas himself. So Sutirthaya, and then Devadeva. He is the Deva of all the Devatas. So even for the Devatas, he is the Deva. So and to him who is endued with great uh, uh, impetuosity, and then to him who is the manifests in many forms, Bahurupa, and then that is who is known as Sharva, and to him who is agreeable attire. So Priyaya, Priyavase, so who is having that of agreeable attire. And then to worship him, bow down to him, who is Ushnishne Suvakraya, Sahasrakshaya Medushe, Girishaya Prashantaya Pataye Chiravasase. So bow down to him who is that having the excellent headgear, and then who is handsome face, and him who is who has the mountains for his habitation, Girishaya. So and then there is two variations in Girishaya and Girishaya. So Girishaya means he is living in mountains, and then Girishaya means he is the lord of all the mountains. So he is the lord. So he is the Isha of all the Giris. So there is slight variation, Girishaya, and Girishaya. So and him that is Prashanta, he is of the peace, and he is the protector, and he is Chiravasava. He is the who has the barks of the trees as his dress attire. He is wearing barks of the trees. And then bow down to him who is Hiranyabahuve Chaiva Ugraya Pate Disham Parjanyapade Chaiva Bhutanam Pate Namaha. So bow down to him whose arms are decked with ornaments of gold, and bow down to him who is of fierce, and him who is that is the Bhagavan, the Lord of all the points of all the direction. So Dishampade. So he is the Lord of all the directions. So every direction. And to him who is the Lord of the clouds, Parjanyapade, and then all the creature beings, Bhutanampade, and then all the trees and the cows and things like that bow down to him. So Vrukshanampade, Chaiva Apam Chapade Tata Vrukshay Avrutakayaya Senanya Madhyamaya cha. So bow down to him that is Lord of all the trees and the cows, and him that has the body shrouded with the trees, Vrukshayr Avrutakayaya. So Vrukshaya Avrutakayaya. So he is covered, body is covered with the trees, and him that is who is the celestial, he is the Deva Senapati, Senanya. So he is the Deva Senapati. Worship him who inspires all the thoughts. So worship him, and Survahastaya Devaya Dhanmine Bhargavaya cha Bahurupaya Vishwasya Padaye Chiravasase. Bow down to him who has this Sruva, so which is the sacrificial ladle used in the homas and things. So bow down to him who has that sacrificial ladle in his hand. Him bow down to him who is blazing, and who wields the bow, the Pinaka bow, Dhanvine, and then who is Bhargava, Rama himself, who is Parashurama himself, bow down to him, and bow down to him who has the diverse forms, Bahurupa, and who is the Vishwasya. So he is the Pati, he is the Lord of all the Vishwas, universe, in this words, all the words, and Chiravasa, who is having this munja grass for his attire. And then Sahasrachirase Chaiva Sahasranayanaaya cha Sahasrabhavave Chaiva Sahasracharanaya cha. So bow down to him who has 1,000 heads, Sahasrachirasa. And then Sahasranayana, who has 1,000 eyes and 1,000 arms and then thousands of legs. So Chara Sahasra Charanaja Sahasra Bhavavecha. So bow down to him. So it's again we have said in the Rigveda Sahasra Yesha Purusha Sahasraksha Sahasrabha. So it is like that. So Vyasa says that bow down to that Mahadeva who is Sahasra Chirase, who is Sahasra Chirasa, and then Sahasra Nayana, Sahasra Bahu, and Sahasra Charana. So and then Sharanam Prapya Kaunteya Varadam Bhuvaneshwaram Umapatim Rupaksham Dakshayajna Nibarhanam. So he says that, O son of Kunti, seek protection of that boon-giving Bhagavan of this universe, the Pati, Umapati. So he is the Lord of Uma, and that God, that Bhagavan of 3 eyes, Virupaksha. So again, Virupaksha, I think last time I said, he's Virupa means he's in odd eyes. So he's got that 3rd eye. So that's why he's known as the one who is with the 3rd eye, and that destroyer of the Daksha Yajna. So Daksha Yajna Nivaranam. So he is the destroyer of the Daksha Yajna. So that Umapati, you seek protection in him, like this Vyasa advises. Vyasa instructs Arjuna, and he says that Prajanam Padinam Avyagram Bhutanam Padinam Avyayam Kapardinam Vrishavartam Vrishanabam Vrishadvajam Vrishadarpam Vrishapatim Vrishashanga Vrisharshabam Vrishankam Vrishabhodaram Vrishabham Vrishabhekshanam Vrishaidam Vrishasharam Vrishabhutam Maheshwaram Mahodaram Mahakayam Deepi Charma Nivasinam Lokesham Varadam Mundam Brahmanyam Brahmanapriyam Trishulapanim Varadam Kadgacharmadaram Shubhravam Pinakinam Kandaparasham Lokaram Patim Ishwaram. So you bow down to him, you seek protection in him, that Prajanam Patinim. So he is the guardian of all the created things. So, and then that being who is always cheerful, and he is the protector of all the beings, and that Bhagavan who is of unfading glory, and that one with mated locks, and that mover of all the superior beings, and that one who has whose navel is like that of the bull, and who has the bull as a symbol, Vrishanabam, Vrishadvajam, Vrishavartam. So, and then the one who has, who is proud like a bull, Vrishadarpam, and then who is the lord of the bulls, so Vrishapatim, and then who is represented by the horns of the bull, Vrishashangam, and then the one who is the bull of the bulls, so Vrishashabam, and then the one that is who has the image of the bull on his banner, so again Vrishabhadvajam, and then the one who is represented by the horns of the bull, so one who is liberal to all the righteous persons, the one who can be approached by the yoga, so the one whose eyes are like that of the bull, Ushankam, and then who is who owns very superior weapons, and who has Vishnu himself as his arrow again. So Vishnu himself as arrow. So he had, when Shiva destroyed Tripura, at that time he used Vishnu himself as arrow. So we will come to that story in a while. So, and the one who is the embodiment of the Dharma, and who is called Maheshwara, and then who is of having very vast stomach, Mahodara, and who has the leopard's skin for his feet, and Deepi Charma Nivasinam, and then the one who is the Lord of all the worlds, Lokesham, and then who is devoted to Brahma. So he is devoted Brahmanyam, Brahmana Priyam. So who loves the Brahmanas, so Brahmana Priya, and who is armed with Trishula Panim, Varadam, Khadga Charmadharam, Prabhum. So he is the Trishulapani, so he's holding trident. Trishula, Varadam means who is always boon giving, and then Khadga, Charmadaram. Khadga is sword, Charma is shield. So he's holding the shield and the sword, and who is Prabham, who is highly auspicious, that Pinakinam, so who has this bow called Pinaka, who is holding the Shiva's Dhanus, bow is known as Pinaka. So uh, and who is divested of battle axe, so Kanda Parashum, and then who is the protector and the Bhagavan, the Pati, Lord of this universe, Lokanam Patim Ishwaram. So that Bhagavan seek protection in him, O Arjuna, like this Vyasa advises, and he says, Prapadye Sharadam Devam Sharanam Chiravasasam Namastasmai Sureshaya Yasya Vaishravanaha Sukha सुखा सुखा सवे नमो नित्यं सुव्रताय सुधन्विने श्रुवहस्ताय देवाय सुखधन्वाय धन्विने धन्वन्तराय धनुषे धन्वाचार्याय धन्विने. So, and he says, I place myself in the hands of that divine Bhagavan, the grantor of the protection that Bhagavan attired in the deer skins. Salutations, namaskara to that Bhagavan of the Devatas who has Vaishravana, Kubera for his friend, and because Kubera got his position because of Shiva and Parvati. So, and then salutations, namaskara to ever to him of excellent vows, and to him who has excellent bowmen for his companions, and to him who himself wields a bow, and to that Bhagavan, that Deva, who is with whom the bow is the favorite weapon, and who is himself is a shaft impelled by that bow, and who is the bowstring of that bow, and the Guru teaching the use of that bow. So, Dhanvantaraya Dhanushe Dhanvacharyaya Dhanvine. So, he is everything in that bow, arrows, and everything. He is everything, whether the Vidya or the teacher or the bow itself or the arrow or the everything, he is that himself. And Ugrayadaya Devaya Namasura Varaya Cha Namostu Bhurupaya Namascha Bhudanvine Namostu Tadave Nityam Suvrataya Sudhanvine Namostu Tripuragnaya Bhagagnaya Cha Vai Namaha. Namaskara and salutations to the Deva whose weapons are very fierce, who is the foremost of all the Devatas. Salutations to him of Bhurupa, who is of diverse forms, and to him who has many bowmen around him. Salutations to that one always known as Tanu, and who has a large number of excellent bowmen for his companion. And salutations to him who has destroyed the Tripuras, the triple city, and salutations to him who slew the Asura known by the name Bhaga, and that's why he's known as Bhagagna. And Vanaspatinam Pataye Naranam Pataye Namah Apam cha Pataye Nityam Yajnanam Pataye Namah Pushno Danta Vinashaya Drakshaya Varadaya cha Nilakantaya Pingaya Swarnakeshaya Vai Namaha. Salutations to him who is the Lord of the trees and of the men, and salutations to him who is the Lord of the Devatas, mothers, and the tribes of the spirit known by the name of Ganas. So all the Ganas, he is the Bhagavan, and he is to that Bhagavan Namaskara. And salutations ever always to him who is the Bhagavan of the cows and the sacrifices, Yajnanam Pate Namaha. And the salutations ever to the one who is the Bhagavan of the water and the Bhagavan of all the Devatas, and who is the destroyer of Surya's teeth, and who is the of three eyes, and who is the grantor of the boon, and he is known as Hara, and he is of blue-throated, and he is of golden locks, Swarnakesha. He is that Nilakanta, Pingala, Swarnakesha. So he is that. So namaskara to him. Karmani chaiva divyani Mahadevasya dhimata tanite kirta ishyami yata prajnam yata shrutam. So Vyasa says that I will now tell you according to my knowledge. Again, Vyasa saying this is Vyasa saying that according to my knowledge, because that Bhagavan's rupas and his forms and his divinity and his glories nobody can describe. So that's why Vyasa says this is according to my knowledge. I will tell you uh, as I have heard them all the divine deeds of that Mahadeva, of that supreme wisdom. I will tell you that if Mahadeva becomes angry, neither the Devatas, nor Asuras, Gandharvas, nor Rakshasas, even if they hide themselves in the deep oceans, they can have peace. So if Mahadeva becomes angry, nobody can have peace. And he says, Vyasa then narrates the story of Daksha. In the olden days, Daksha was performing a sacrifice and he has collected all the necessary articles. Mahadeva destroyed that sacrifice in anger and he became very stern on that occasion, shooting an arrow from his bow. Mahadeva uttered terrible roars. The Devatas then became filled with anxiety and fright. And when Mahadeva became angry, the Yajna sacrifice, the Yajna is effectively Vishnu's form. Okay, so Yajna itself, the sacrifice itself from that place in its embodied form fled away from that sacrificial hall. And the Devatas became exceedingly frightened at the twang of that Mahadeva's bow Pinaka and the sound of his palms. They became very afraid and they started running away. And the Devatas, Asuras, all of them fell down and they submitted. They worshipped Mahadeva. All the water swelled up in agitation and the earth trembled at that time. The mountains split and all the directions, all the and the Nagas, they became stupefied. This entire universe enveloped in thick darkness could no longer be seen. The splendor of all the stars and luminaries with this Surya itself, all of that get destroyed. The rishis were filled with fear. They became agitated and desirous of their own good. They also, all of the creatures, performed proprietary rites. They started worshipping Mahadeva when Mahadeva became very angry at Daksha's sacrifice. And Surya was then eating the principal offering in that the oblation given in that sacrifice, and smilingly Shankara approached him and tore out his teeth. And that's what we see in the previous shlokas when Vyasa was explaining. Surya's teeth was removed by Shankara. And again, Shankara went in the form of Virabhadra at that time, but here we say Vyasa narrates it as Mahadeva itself, but Virabhadra and Mahadeva both are same. So the Devatas then, humbling themselves to him, they fled away trembling. And once more Mahadeva aimed at Devatas a shower of blazing and sharp arrows resembling flames of fire mixed with smoke or clouds with lightning. And seeing those arrow shower, all the devas are bowing down to Maheshwara, assigned to Rudra a substantial share of the sacrifices from that point onwards. Again, in fright, the devatas sought his protection, and Mahadeva's anger being dispelled, then that Mahadeva, Maheshwara, then restored that sacrifice, and the devatas that had fled back away, they all came back. Indeed, like this Vyasa says that they are all, to this day, they are all afraid of Maheshwara because of what happened in Dakshajna. All the devatas were afraid. So, like this Vyasa narrates one of the glory of Mahadeva, what happens when he becomes angry. And then he next narrates the story of Tripura. So we will start this, and if we can finish, we will finish. If not, we will continue next time. So he says that Vyasa says that formerly three asuras who had in heaven, they had three cities built for them, and each of those cities were very excellent and very large. And one was made of iron, another one made of silver, the third one was made of gold. And the golden city belonged to Asura known as Kamalaksha. The city of silver belonged to Tarakaksha, and the third one made of iron belonged to Vidyunmalin. So Kamalaksha, Tarakaksha, and Vidyunmalin had golden, silver, and iron cities made up like heaven. Okay, again, they were blessed with those things. Uh, and again, they were blessed, but the condition was that they should remain there and they should not trouble anybody. But they started after some time, they started troubling Indra, and then with all his weapons exhausted, Indra was unable to make any impression on them because those were blessed by Shankara himself and afflicted by those asuras, all the devatas. They sought protection of Rudra himself. And approaching him, all the devatas with Indra at their head, they said, these terrible dwellers of this Tripuras, so Tripura is three Puras, so three is again not English three, it is Sanskrit three. So, but English three also means three. So it is number three. Pura means cities. So these triple cities, uh, they have received a boon from Brahma. With the pride in consequence of those boons, they are greatly afflicting this universe. O Mahadeva, nobody except you is competent to kill them. Therefore, O Mahadeva, kill them, these enemies of the Devatas, O Rudra, creatures killed in every sacrifice by them. That's why kill them and restore peace in this universe. Like this, the Indra and other Devatas pray to Mahadeva. And when they were addressed like that, Mahadeva accepted that request and moved by the desire of benefiting them. And he said that I will overthrow these Asuras. And then Hara made two mountains, Gandhamadana and Vindhya mountains, as the two poles of his car, and Shankara made the earth itself with her oceans and forests as his battle chariot, and then with that Trambaka three-eyed Bhagavan made the prince of snakes, Shesha, and as the Aksha, which is the middle part, the which we see going across. So he made that as the chariot, and he made that Mahadeva made that Pinaki made the moon and Chandra and Surya as the wheels of that chariot, and then he made Elapatra, Pushpadanta as the two pins of that yoke, and then he made Malaya mountains as the yoke itself, and he made the Takshaka, Naga Takshaka as the yoke to the poles, and then the creatures about him, he made them as the traces of the steed, and Maheshwara made the four Vedas as the four horses, and then he had made the Vedas the as the bridle bits, and then Mahadeva made Gayatri, Savitri as the reins, and the Omkara itself as the whip, and Brahma himself as the charioteer. And then making Mahadeva Mandara mountain as his bow, Vasuki as the bowstring, Vishnu himself as the arrow, which is what I said earlier, and Agni as the arrowhead, and Vayu as the two wings of that arrow. So at the other end of the arrow, you will have the feathers and things like that. So that became Yama became that feather tail, and lightning the wetting stone at the tip of that, and then Meru as the standard for him, and Shiva riding on that excellent chariot, which was composed of Deva forces, energies. He proceeded for the destruction of that three Puras. And when Stanu went like that, he of all the devatas adored him, and Partha, the rishis, by possessing a lot of great asceticism, they with their tapashakti, they worshipped him. He Mahadeva stood in that chariot like a immovable object for about 1,000 years, and he was waiting for the right time to strike at this Tripura. When, however, those three cities came together in the sky, Mahadeva pierced them with that terrible arrow he was holding, consisting of three knots, and the Danavas, unable to look at him, those arrows pierced like the Yuga, end of Yuga fire, and then that composed of Vishnu and Soma, and the three cities burned like that. So after burning that three cities, the Devi Parvati went to see that site of the Tripuras burning, and on her lap a child was there, and that child having a bald head with 5 clumps of hair on his head. Child was there on Parvati's lap. Devatas, Parvati asked the Devatas to asked who the Parvati was asked by who Devatas who the child was, and Indra, thinking that this is somebody rogue, he threw his Vajra weapon towards that child. But Indra's arms were paralyzed as he was about to throw that Vajra weapon, and then we see what happens to Indra and the glory of Mahadeva. We'll see that next time when we gather. So again, this Shata Rudriyam Parva continues. So we'll look at that next time. Thank you.